All right, everyone. Sorry. This new camera that I've got, when it's bright outside, it's so hard to see myself in the screen. So I'm like, and with my sunglasses on, like I can't see shit. Like I can't, I can see the screen now, put my sunglasses on, and the screen just looks like black. Like it just looks like it just turned off. So, but whatever. Like the lens is centered on my face, it's probably fine. So, whatever. Take the sunglasses off for now. It's a little bit bright out here this morning. But anyway, so on the last video that I did about the Diamond Sea trailer, I said that I would do another one, a separate video about the equipment that we're using for the forestry service that we're starting here. So the name of the company, which I probably haven't said yet, is Beyond the Clear Forestry Services. So we are specializing in land clearing, forestry mulching, lot clearing, you know, like right-of-way clearing, things like that, whether it's, you know, commercial, residential lots, invasive species removal, that sort of thing. Probably all the same shit that you guys, if you follow anybody else that does forestry mulching, probably all the same shit that they are advertising that they do. So it's you know, when you have a mulcher, I mean, there's only so much that you can do with it, right? So everybody kind of seems to advertise the same services. So that's what we're doing. Where everything gets different, where everybody seems to differ, is in the equipment that they have. And the equipment that I chose, this is basically just kind of a relatively short video on what equipment I got, why I chose that equipment. This is a new field for me. Like, I have dabbled with heavy equipment operation before. Like so I own 44 acres, and so I've been able to do a lot of this type of work just on my own property, but you know, never as a service for anyone. But I love operating heavy equipment. I love being in the woods. I love forestry work. I love, you know, I'm avid whitetail hunter, turkey hunter, fisherman, big bow hunter. So, you know, all this type of work, like, I love it. I've always loved operating equipment, and I love getting in the woods and clearing out food plots and just kind of making something out of nothing, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But so anyway, this is just something that I really never thought would be an avenue that I could take. Like, I never thought it would be a possibility for me to do this, primarily just because it's crazy expensive to source this kind of equipment, even used equipment. I mean, new is one thing, and I did go new on, well, everything except the truck. There's reasons for that, but which I can talk about later. But just to kind of lay it all out there, like, this is not something that, you know, I was born into. This is not a business that I, you know, was handed. Like, I'm starting this completely from scratch. Yes, I have experience operating heavy equipment, but, you know, not so much in the sense that, you know, like somebody who does it 9 to 5, you know, 2,080 hours a year on a full-time job. Like, I'm not that kind of equipment operator. Just, you know, personal, my own farm, that type of thing, equipment rentals, renting equipment from friends who have, you know, mini excavators, skid loaders, that sort of thing. And it's just something that I really enjoy. So I decided to try to make something out of it, and I really just took the plunge. You know, I mean, it was the main thing here was I was able to secure financing for the skid loader, track loader, and the attachments through the company that makes the track loader, which I'll show you in a second. But it's through Kubota. I'll just come out and say it. It's a Kubota SPL 97-2 track loader, and I was able to obtain financing through Kubota for all of that. So that was really going to be kind of the end all be all, I guess. Like if I could obtain the financing, then this was going to be a possibility for to try to start this business. If I couldn't, things were going to get a lot more difficult, because like I certainly don't have the capital to just pay for all this equipment up front. So everything was really relying on getting approved for financing. I did not think that I was going to. Like, I was driving to my local dealer. I knew what machine I wanted. I knew what machine I needed in order to make this possible, you know, to run a forestry mulcher. I wanted a high flow skid loader. I wanted a high flow forestry mulcher. They do make standard flow forestry mulchers now, which you can run on a standard flow skid steer. You know, like if you're going Kubota, you could run it on an SVL 75, for example. You wouldn't have had to go all the way up to the 97 with high flow. I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to be like right up there with the big dogs, and be able to dish out the type of service that, you know, would be required. I didn't want to be limited by my equipment, I guess. Let's just put it that way. I didn't want to, you know, lose out on a job because I'm like, well, I can't process the material quite that large. I only have a standard flow machine. Now, if that was all that my budget would have allowed for, like they're like, well, we can't approve you for this, but we can approve you for that, I probably still would have done it versus nothing. However, I was driving, I mean, I was so pessimistic about this that I was driving to the dealer, and like it's about 50 minutes from my house. It's a little bit of a drive, but like halfway there, I'm just like, man, what am I even doing? Like, I should just turn around. Like, this is a waste of my time. There's no way they're going to approve me for this. And fortunately, I didn't, because I got there. I said, listen, this is what I want to do. This is the machine that I need. They're like, okay, well, here's how much it is. And I'm like, well, let's just see if we can even secure financing first before we even talk about any more. So long story short, the finance manager ran all the numbers, and she comes back and says, well, you're approved. And I was like, shit. So that was for just the skid loader at the time. So I'm like, well, now, okay, let's throw a forestry mulcher in there. Like, knowing full well how much these things cost, like how much it was going to add to the total bill. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to get approved for both. Like, we're adding, I'll just come out and pretty much say the number, an extra $32,000 onto the bill for the forestry mulcher on top of what the skid steer costs. And so I was like, there's no way it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then we can't do this. So anyway, she runs the numbers again. You know, obviously I'm waiting nervously, and then she comes back and she says, well, you're approved. I'm like, oh, okay. Fully not expecting to hear that. And then all of a sudden, I mean, that was it. That was kind of the determining factor, right? It was like taking something that was not previously thought of as a possibility to, all right, we can secure the equipment through financing. Now that, of course, just means that it's like, yeah, they're going to give me the equipment. I can finance the equipment. I can walk out of there with it. Now, affording it is another thing, right? Being able to make those payments is a completely different story. So, I mean, basically the business, if it's not making money, we're not going to be able to pay for the equipment. But anyway, that's kind of just everything just really started to fall into place from there. And I was like, well, I have some decisions to make. Since we can secure the equipment, either we're going to do this or we're not. And so then I just started looking into trucks. I started looking into trailers, and everything just really started to fall into place from there. I mean, the truck, I ended up ironically finding the truck that I thought I needed right at my local dealership, right at the time that I was looking for one. It was a used F-250 single rear wheel, probably, I think I've talked about it before in my Diamond C video, but probably like right on the line of needing a bigger truck for hauling this much weight around, but we're making it work for now. I'm not too worried about it. So, but anyway, kind of back to the point of this video, I just wanted to go over some of the origins on how this got started, and how it basically got started from nothing. In fact, I currently still work a full-time job aside from this. So, I mean, we're really in the beginning stages of this, and so I just kind of wanted to go along and document everything, just to kind of, I know when I was, previous years before I even ever thought of this as a business opportunity, like it's fun to go on. If you like heavy equipment, it's fun to watch guys operating it. It's fun to watch videos about it. And there are a lot of videos out there, depending on the piece of equipment that you are researching. Like Kubota skid loaders, for example. Well, there's a lot of videos on Kubota track loaders, but fuck it, what's one more? So, anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a little backstory on what's going on here. So, enough about that for now. We'll probably do more on that later as we go along, just because I know that I still like to watch videos of how guys got started, what equipment they have, how they obtained it, how they like it, what they were doing before they started doing this, and it just kind of serves as motivation for, something that seems so unattainable, because the upfront investment for this business is so high, unless you're just going to go out and rent your equipment to start, which there are guys out there that have that's what they did to get started. It's not something that I was interested in. The motive for me, and it may not be the same for you, but the motive for me to do this was basically, if I invest the money, it's motive for me to make this work, just because that's just how my mind works. Like those are the types of things that motivate me. If I have nothing invested in the business, or nothing invested in what I'm doing, then it's much easier to just kind of be like, sweep it under the rug, go back to my daily routine, or my normal day job, or whatever the case may be, and just kind of give up on it, or it never really materializes. So for me, I wasn't interested in that. I was like, nope. Now, if it would have been my only option again, well, maybe I would have thought of doing that instead. But I didn't have to go that route. Like I said, I was able to secure financing. Keep in mind, like, I don't make a shit ton of money. Like, my regular job, I mean, it's not like I'm making 6 figures a year or anything like this. And I do have pretty good credit. That probably helped. But I'm the guy that sabotaged my credit when I was in my 20s, and have since, over the last decade, rebuilt that to what it is now. So don't even think, that's like, well, you probably had good credit your whole life. I haven't. Like, it was garbage coming up through my 20s. Like, I would go to the bank to try to secure financing for something, and I'd be like, biting nails, like wondering if I could even get approved for a $1,000 loan. And now here we are. I just got approved for, basically, between my skid loader, my Grapple, which I got a Grapple, a bucket, and the FORESTRY mulcher. I mean, it's a $125,000 bill that I racked up here. So, like I said, paying for it is another thing. Like, the business needs to make money to pay for it. But it's in my driveway. I currently own it. Well, the bank owns it. Kubota Credit owns it, but I have it. So here it is, Kubota SVL 97-2. Currently got the bucket attachment on there right now. Brand new machine. There was 1 hour on it when I got it, which was just from the shop, putting it together, testing it. The dealer didn't even have it for a week before I came to pick it up. So first looks right here. So far, I am enjoying everything about it. I've only got 7 hours on it so far, but high flow, enclosed cab, 3/4 inch Lexan, essentially bulletproof door for forestry mulching kit, heat, air conditioning, Bluetooth speakers, radio, that sort of thing. Now, I looked at a lot of other skid loaders prior to settling on this, but one thing, prior to having this track loader, I had a Kubota L3301 tractor for 7 years that I ran. I purchased that through the same dealer actually, and I paid that off, and I owned it outright, and I ran that thing for 7 years out here, pushed it essentially to its limits for how big of a tractor it was, and I had really zero problems with it at all. So I know there are a lot of guys out there who are on the fence about Kubota when compared to some other brands. You know, some of the top brands I would say in forestry mulching right now, while you do see Kubota 97s, ASV of course is huge in the forestry game. The Deere 333G is huge in the forestry game. However, Deere is phasing out the G series, and I think they're coming out with a, what do they say, a P series now. So those are a little bit hard to find. And you do see some Bobcats, T770s, T76, the new T86s. You're starting to see more of those, but I looked at them all. The thing about ASV, yeah, it's a great machine for forestry. You see a lot of them in the forestry industry. Like I said, in fact, they're the only company out there, to my knowledge, that's making a 135 horse track loader specifically for forestry. But the price is outrageous compared to some of the other ones. I mean, Deere is expensive compared to Kubota, and ASV is even above that. Like, we were looking at like $100,000 for ASV's 75 horse machine, and I would have needed at least an RT 110, 120, probably not a 135, maybe someday. And the Deere 333G, that was coming in at like $100,000 for just the skid loader. And Bobcat was kind of right in between. So Bobcat, the T770, was coming in at like $82,000, $83,000. The T86 was coming in well over even the Deere at $115,000 for just the skid loader. So this unit right here was, I think we had it out the door for $77,500, and so really it was a budget thing, right? It was like, I'm borrowing this money. I don't have a lot of upfront capital. However, I did sell my Kubota tractor to what I paid for. I sold it for what I paid for it. So I bought it brand new in 2017, and I sold it in March of this year, 2024, for exactly what I paid for it 7 years ago, if that tells you anything about how the used market is still doing for equipment like that. I had people actually willing to pay more than what I had it listed for, but I had already committed to a guy that put some money down when I received those offers. So just a little side note there, if any of you all are looking to, well, if you're looking to buy a tractor, you're probably going to pay top dollar for even a used one. If you're looking to sell one, you're probably a good time to do so. If you're needing money, don't be afraid to mark it up a little higher than you might think, is what I learned. So, but anyway, it really was a budget thing on the differences between the 333G, the ASV, the Bobcat. I probably could have done the T770. I was working pretty closely with Bobcat on that one. Financing would have been okay. They would have financed the attachments as well, even though they weren't Bobcat brand, just like Kubota did. And but basically, it was just a lot more money than I wanted to spend. It was already going to be enough with this one. It was kind of a payment thing for me. I was like, well, the payment for all this is going to be X, and if I start spending any more, like if the machine costs any more, it's going to be too much. So anyway, another thing too was the forestry mulcher that I bought. While a lot of guys out there are using Fecon, which is known to one of the top brands in the forestry mulching world, Fecon, Fecon Bullhog, Fecon Blackhawk, a couple other companies like Diamond, Sheerex, FAE, all pretty well known in the forestry game. However, I decided to go with Vail. I bought a Vail drum mulcher. I actually ended up buying a Vail brush grapple as well. And there's reasons for that. I can talk about that later too, but the Vail rep, which by the way, they were fantastic to work with in terms of customer service and communication, unparalleled. Check, check. All right, guys, so this is my second attempt at finishing the video that you started watching. So during the filming of that video, as I was talking about Vail's customer service, the camera said that it had an overheating fault and stopped recording. And so I'm actually picking this back up on a different day, but I just got done recording the finishing segment, the finishing words basically of the beginning of this whole video. And when I got done, I realized that my wireless mic was not recording. It was not on. The receiver was on, but the microphone wasn't on. And so I got zero audio. So we're going to try this again and see if we can get it. So right now, camera's on. It is recording. I have audio. Everything should be good. So anyway, what I was saying was Vail's customer service, just about how they are unmatched, unparalleled. Sorry if I kind of breeze through this a little bit, just because it's the third time that I'm talking about it now to my camera, and I would like to be able to get it to you guys. So anyway, when I reached out to Vail for the first time, they answered the phone straight away. I believe the guy's name was Matt at the time, and then he ultimately referred me to Adam Wasson. Shout out to Adam at Vail. He is the Midwest sales guy for the company, so he handles the entire Midwest. Super busy guy, on the road a lot. He even handles up into the Northeast as well. But one thing that I first noticed about them is contact. So I didn't have to jump through hoops to get a hold of anybody. And then by the time I finally did get them on the phone, I shouldn't say finally, because it didn't take me but one phone call to get them on the phone. But once I did, and I had that initial phone call with them, everything was just a breeze from there. I could text them, call them, didn't really matter the day, didn't really matter the time, and they would be really super responsive, usually right on the dot, but maybe 24 hours at most it would before they would get back to me about any questions that I had. They took care of all my concerns, answered everything, put all that to rest with basically trying to convince me to go with Vail over Fecon, just with Fecon being really kind of the big dog in the industry for forestry mulchers, with several others underneath them, but I would say that Fecon just tends to be the most well-known. And they put all my concerns to rest, and ultimately I went with Vail. So, but yeah, I mean, customer service was, everybody makes pretty solid equipment these days. I mean, with the exception of maybe some manufacturers. And when you go with a piece of equipment, whether it's your skid loader, your mulcher, maybe it's an excavator, I don't know, a four-wheeler for a lawnmower, for goodness sake, obviously do your homework on who's got the features that you want, but ultimately it's like, who can provide you with the best customer service and the best customer support when you need it. Not if you need it, when you need it, especially in this business right here, land clearing, forestry, mulching. It really isn't a matter of when this equipment's, or if this equipment's going to break down. It's just a matter of when. So making sure that you have good customer support, and good customer service. And, you know, that's not to say that Fecon doesn't. They probably do. I didn't reach out to them. I wanted to go with Vail before I even, before this ever even became a reality. Vail was a company that had just caught my eye in the outdoor industry. So ultimately, customer service, along with just them convincing me that they have a better product, and price point, I've said this before, was pretty much the same. So this is where I went. And but you know, just an example of customer service for them. I haven't talked to the guys over there since I picked this equipment up. About just want to check my audio, make sure we still got it. We're good. We're good. But anyway, I haven't talked to those guys since I picked this equipment up a couple months ago. And just the other day, they make a additional set of a skid plate, different shoes for the bottom of the mulcher here that help to keep the drum up out of the dirt when the skid plates are touching the ground. Right now, the skid plates that are on there do the opposite. The drum actually turns just below the dirt when the skid plates are touching the soil or the ground. And I just happened to run into a few rocks, smoked a few rocks that were below grade that I couldn't see. And I was just like, you know what, Adam? I texted him. It was a Sunday night, actually. And I was like, I think I want to upgrade to those new skid plates. And on a Sunday night, he texted me back and said, yep, shoot me your address, and we'll get those coming to you. So that easy, basically. A couple, 2-3 text messages on a Sunday night, and we got the new skid plates on the way. He's going to ship them right to my house to avoid having to make a trip out to the dealer. So, I'm going to flip this around here, show you guys the unit. When I started this video, I had the bucket attachment on there, but now that I'm filming it finishing it up on a different day, we've got the drum mulcher on. So this is it, 60-inch drum mulcher, 60-inch drum, total width 72 inches on the unit, high flow hydraulics, and opted to go with the steel knives or teeth versus carbides. And as you can see, if you're paying attention, some of those are pretty chipped up right now. So I'm trying to decide ultimately if I made a mistake by going with steel versus carbide or not. I'm still working on that at the moment, but you can see that the rocks I smoked right here chipped that one up pretty bad. That one pretty bad. This one's pretty good still. Hit a little bit right there on that one. I think these new shoes are going to help with that. But the advantage to using the steel versus the carbide is, one, you get a finer finished product. So they produce, assuming that they're sharp, you get a finer mulch. And what Vail actually did here on their teeth to kind of increase the longevity of a steel tooth, because they know, of course, if you run into stones and bricks or anything like that, it's going to beat them up. So you actually notice you've got the initial edge right here, but if you look under here, you've got another edge, and if you go up here, you've got 3, 4. So what you can do is you can actually rotate this. So you can basically rotate it so that you can switch to a fresh edge, and you can do that 4 times with an individual tooth just by backing out this 1-inch 12-point bolt right here with an impact wrench. And so that kind of helps to offset the longevity thing when it comes to a steel tooth versus a carbide tooth, because with a carbide you can't do that. You just get the one edge, the one leading edge, and granted you get more longevity out of them because they're tougher, but if they break, then it's broke. You can't rotate it, you can't sharpen it, your tooth is done, you got to go buy a new one, and carbides are about $100 a tooth, assuming that you don't, get the cheap ones out of China. So, but the steel for this tooth, obviously, like I just said, you can flip it, and it's steel, right? So assuming that you don't break it, you can take an angle grinder with you into the field, or keep it in your truck or in your machine, and you can sharpen these. So, you know, you can sharpen them midway through a job, and you can keep rolling. So a little bit more maintenance, I guess, than a carbide, because you can't sharpen them and you can't rotate them. So they either keep going, or you know, you break it and you have to change them, or they just get dull over time, and then you have to change them. But $100 a tooth for a carbide, and these ones right here through Vail, I believe you're looking at like $57 a tooth. So I mean, almost 50%, you know, of the cost of a carbide. So I don't know. I think time will tell if I made the right choice here or not with going with steel. You know, maybe if I happen to get into a big job, or if I land a big job where it is really rocky terrain, or there's maybe some buried material or something on the property that the property owner is aware of, maybe I might purchase a set of carbides just to have. But again, cost me about $3 grand to put a set of carbides on this. There are 30 teeth at $100 a tooth. Not to mention the time it'll take me to go through all 30 and change them. But I guess time will tell if we made the right choice or not. So far, I don't have any issues with these, even with the ones that I've broken. The new skid plates will definitely help with that. So anyways, that's the drum. I'll try to get a little bit of footage here of the drum firing up at full throttle at the end of this video. So, but for now, I'm going to pan over to the next attachment. I'm not going to go over the pallet forks and the bucket. Pallet forks, bucket, pretty standard stuff. But the next attachment here would be the Goliath Grapple, also from Vail Products. So why I chose to go with this grapple over a standard grapple, like we were looking at the Kubota grapple, primarily just due to how well built it is, along with the capacity that it can accommodate. So it's 72 inches wide, and when these jaws are fully open, the open height is 6 feet tall, which is fucking wild. Excuse my language. But you can fit, Vail claims that you can fit 2 full-size round hay bales into this grapple at one time and move them. Weight-wise, no problem. About 2,000 pounds, maybe not quite. The SVL 97 will lift, you know, 4,000. But just the jaw capacity to be able to jaw capacity to be able to support, you know, that much material is wild. I have not seen another grapple on the market that can do that. Maybe there is one. If there is, I'm not aware of it. Maybe shoot me a comment down below if you guys know of something that I don't know about. But anyway, we're going to put this thing to the test over the coming months, years, and we'll do some more videos too, just letting you know how it held up. But it's been, first glance, it's been great. I've used it for some treetops and logs. By no means have pushed it to its limits, but we'll probably get a chance to before long. I don't know what the weight is on this. I would say maybe 1,500 pounds, something like that. But the 97 handles it without a problem. And price, though, I will say price will be probably specific to whoever your local Vail dealer is. But I got this out the door for, it's a little bit more expensive than most grapples, like 7,500 bucks. And I think the Kubota was coming in at like 4,500. So a decent amount more. You know what? I think 7,500 is MSRP. I think I actually ended up paying 67, 65 maybe. So a couple $1,000 more than the Kubota. But when you consider if you actually look at these in person, the difference between the two, there is no comparison. I mean, when this showed up at my local Kubota dealer, even the guys at the dealer were like, yeah, that looks significantly different in person than it does in the pictures. I mean, even me standing, like if I stand like right next to this machine right now, like it comes up to above my belly button, and I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'10", but I mean, this is wild. It's, you know, it's just a big beefy unit. So quick glance here at the pallet forks and the bucket, but again, those are kind of a dime a dozen, so no reason to really hone in on that at all. So let's go back over here to the machine, kind of give you one more quick look at that. We'll do some more videos on this too as we get some more footage, but yeah guys, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get some footage of the drum firing up here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please drop them down below and I'll do my best to get back to them, which won't take me much because this is a new channel, so it's not like I get tons of DMs, but always like and subscribe if you like this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.